Those of you who've been following me for a bit now know that I have kind of a new rule. Anytime I play virtually any game for any reason, I do so for the sake of the show, whether it's for the stream, or for some kind of event, or if it's I'm doing, a video about it, a rumination about it. Well, those of you who were paying attention during the marathon knew that there was a game that I picked up and played that I haven't actually done a rumination of yet. And rather than going ahead and just breaking my own rule, I decided I'm going to go ahead and, make this up to you guys. So, without further ado, we all knew this day would come. The time has come at last to ruminate on Barbie's Mall Adventure. A glamorous quest full of fun, magic, and adventure, according to this. Now, I'd just like to say that this game is really terrifying when you come down to it. First of all, look at her face. I'm sorry, every time I look at her horrifying bug-like eyes staring at me from the nightmare vision of horror and whatever. Now, you may before I really get into this game, I just have to discuss the gameplay a bit here. Apparently she's having lunch at the soda shop, which is why, naturally, she's here in the sports section, but, whatever. So, let's really dig into this game, just a little bit. So, you only have two things you can do, okay? You can throw these little tokens of your affection. Oh, hang on. There we go. Oh, wrong one. Hang on, let's try another one. See, you throw those little tokens of your affection. By the way, to this day, I've never actually figured out what those are supposed to be. I mean that sincerely. I literally do not know what those are supposed to be. They just make things change. And the funny thing is you have three types of them. How do they look different? They don't. You just kind of... See, one of them's an X, but one of them's an arrow, but one of them's a question mark? And I think that pretty much summarizes my opinion on that mechanic as of now. Of course, it wouldn't be a terrible NES game if not for the fact that it has incredibly bad collision values. For example, for those of you who know anything about collision, the only place that has proper collision for moving is her feet. And about, I don't know, I'd say like 8 pixels above her feet. Everything else doesn't count. At least as far as movement goes, and actually being able to, you can kind of see it there for a moment. But as far as collision for getting hit, well, that's actually an even better question, because I'm actually not 100% certain what it is that you can get hit on, because sometimes it's your whole body and sometimes it isn't. It's kind of pretty weird, actually. Now, I want you to pay attention to the kind of things that have been attacking her. Sports equipment, shoes, dresses. There's been all sorts of random things that have been attacking her, like this whole game so far, actually. It's almost suspicious, actually, and I just want you to let that sit in the back of your mind as we continue through this. And then we reach the boss of this level, and it's a dress. It's a dress. And you attack it by hitting it with your tokens of affection. And then she decides to change clothes. And this, I'm not even kidding, this is actually the hardest level I've encountered in this game. Maybe it's just because I'm an impatient player. That could very well be it. But you have to just sit here and wait on these things. And early on, it's pretty easy because, you can always tell where the water's coming from. Later on, that's actually not true. You just kind of guess where the water's coming from. And, oh, this is great. There's actually fish that come flying out of the random places that are also spitting water. And those, whoops, and those fish... come on! Foot collision! There we go. And those fish can also destroy you, because, why not? It's... I don't know about you, but I would be terrified about being hit by water or fish. Wait a minute. Is this game actually postulating that Barbie is a witch? And I don't mean like Hermione. I mean like, the Wicked Witch of the West, because water kills her. Oh, hey, look, fish! Fish! Oh, God, just screw it, just run, Oh, God, get away from the fish that are flopping around. Oh, yep, right, can't forget that double back technique that all fish use extensively when flopping between fountains in a mall. Why are there fish in the fountain? Why are there fish in the fountain? Can somebody answer me this? Can somebody go look up this game and tell me why there are fish in the fountain? Ah, but that's the trick, isn't it? Because I know why there's fish in the fountain. And of course, whenever you die, you go straight back to the beginning. Absolutely no points of saving whatsoever. Isn't that wonderful? And of course, after you get through that nightmarish level, you get to go through this nightmarish level where you get to experience NES-style lag. Yeah, feel the lag. Yeah, it's taken forever. I'm not 100% sure what's going on here. I mean, I know that's water, and it's pouring out of something, and naturally being one of the Wicked Witches of the West, that water is horrifyingly poisonous to us and will just destroy us without issue or effort, but, yeah, I'm not sure why. Okay, so after all this time, we finally arrived at the food court. I guess if I wanted to be generous, I could say that she's been traveling to the food court this entire time. I don't know why I'm trying to be generous to this game, of all things. Oh, this is when they introduce her ultimate weapon, by the way. Invinso Shield. It doesn't just make her invincible. It actually stops the spawning of enemies. But, fun fact, that's not actually intentional. It's just the fact that the bubble shield takes up so much of the game's sprite limit that it literally can't spawn it, so... Oh, and just in case you thought it was completely useless, you can go ahead and do that on Mr. Pecan here. And Pecan, I mean Toucan. Toucan? So I can hear you out there saying, alright, Arsh, what's the final boss of this area? Well, I'll tell you. The final boss of this area is the most obvious boss of all. The Pizza Factory. I'm not actually kidding. You get through this area, you walk through, there's a bunch of stuff that happens. Okay, I'm totally lying, nothing's happening at all. This is it, guys. This is it. Oh, but what's this, you say? Aha, platforms and having to jump up on them, right? Because then you jump up on the floating pizza boxes, and then you hit the things, right? Yeah! Actually, no, because it's actually much harder to do that than to just stand here and do that. And once one's closed, it can't shoot pizzas at you, so yeah. And of course, then we're treated to this, where we toss tokens of our affection, again, I really have no idea what those things are, into the fountain. And then a bird shows up with a shiny new dress. Yeah. If you don't really believe me that that's messed up, why don't I just show you the next level here? Yeah. She's a mermaid going through, I swear, the most horrifying looking coral reef I've ever seen in my life. I'm not even kidding. This place terrifies me. It looks like someplace out of Contra. Oh, and by the way, just in case you try to turn around and go back, there's this jellyfish who plays the Jaws music and slowly follows you until you finally get further away enough from him to despawn him. And yet anytime you turn around, he's right there waiting. Barbie, you have issues. Oh ho ho! But I hear you say, Arsh, where's your typical rumination about the story, about the plot, about the setting? Believe it or not, I actually have something to say about this game. You see, as I was playing this game, I began to realize more and more that it was actually making me think. I know, right? But bear with me, right? This game is a representation of just how broken Barbie has become inside. Just how terrifyingly horrible her mentality has become as she is oppressed more and more by the society's standards and the system that completely controls her in every way, shape, and form. The thing that drives her down and forces her to such a state where she must force herself to actively dream to escape from it. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when I've been in a state in my life where I had to force myself to dream in an attempt to escape whatever the hell was going on in my real life, whatever was going on in my real life was pretty damn screwed up at the time. So Barbie is escaping to this dream world to try and desperately get away from whatever it is that is bothering her in her everyday life. Which I don't blame her for. I mean, she's Barbie, for God's sake. Lord knows that poor woman's got issues, right? But this is when I started getting really horrified. I started paying attention to what's attacking her throughout this whole area, and what she's going through, and I see sports equipment, I see food pieces, I see random animals, I see creatures of the sea. Just thing after thing after thing is trying to cause her harm in these otherwise mundane locales. And don't forget, the reason she's here is she is dreaming about what she's going to be doing the next day. You know, she's going to the beach, so she dreams about going and swimming as a mermaid. She's going to go to the mall the next day, so she dreams about what it would be like to be at the mall, you know, blah, 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 blah. She is dreaming about exactly how these places actually are to her. And as she's dreaming about this nightmare world that is constantly plaguing and oppressing her, and it's just this indicative of just how trapped and horrified she feels with her dead eyes as she's constantly reminding herself that she has to keep being a good girl and she has to keep smiling. No matter what happens, she has to stay happy, even though the rest of the world's constantly trying to kill her. Oh my god, she has to stay happy. But that's when we really start to analyze what's exactly happening in the mind of Barbie here. So as she's giving away these tokens of her affection, convincing others to do her bidding, she is not the one who is the perpetrator of this crime here. She is another victim, just as anyone else within this system is. She herself is mocking this system and how messed up it is. That whatever goes around her, she can just say, "Oh, please do this thing for me," and she, the helpless female, will be assisted in her endeavors. Oh, but I'm not even done yet. I'm not even close, because the thing that really kills me about this game is how indicative it is of Barbie's mentality. I mean, I mentioned earlier fighting a pizza machine as the whole, last boss thing. I didn't even make a joke about that, because, what else can I say about it? You're fighting a pizza machine as the last boss. And yet, this is again Barbie showing that she is disgusted by the very fact that she has to constantly shun that which she desires, that which she seeks, in order to continue on with her life and maintaining her perfect imagery, because she is so lost within her so perfectly crafted image of herself that she cannot move past it, even within her own dreams. And then as we see within the mermaid level, it becomes so abundantly clear when we reach this point of the game exactly what is going through Barbie's head. See, this is her attempting to escape. Remember, she is in her dreams for this entire section. She is dreaming in order to escape the horrors of her everyday life, and yet at no point in any of this does she actually attack anyone or anything. Yes, that's the ultimate irony of this whole situation, is that Barbie has trying to prove herself the better of this world that spits on and disgusts her. This world that makes her want so desperately to be free and no longer have to be restrained or chained by a system that she loathes. And yet in her dreams, her one method of escape, the one thing she forces herself to do every night, that every time she wakes up, she forces herself, no, I need to go back to sleep. I have to return to this dream world because it is still better than the world that waits for me out there. That in this world that tries to harm and kill her, she refuses to so much as raise even one fist in anger or try to harm anyone around her. Instead, she proves herself the better than this world. She is better than the system that is oppressing her because she refuses to let herself be bogged down and exist within the horrible nightmare that is the system that surrounds her. And so she just continues moving on peacefully, avoiding and dodging the problem, rather than letting herself submit to the system. And that is a true tale of American heroism. Right there, refusing to become part of the problem, refusing to submit, refusing to say, yes, of course, I will also do everything that you say because I have no choice in the matter. No! No, I'm going to go my way and do my things and not make the world a worse place. We salute you, Barbie. We salute you.